So, friend, we have started the lectures that is on ecological succession. The title of topic is ecological succession. So, friend, the ecology means the surrounding, whatever the atmosphere in and around of us, and the changes is going on in the atmosphere, both in biotic and abiotic relations that are belongs to the subject ecology. And the succession is one of the topic in which one of the topic where one community is replaced by another community over a time. So we have to discuss this particular topic. The question is arise in mind that what is ecological succession? The observed process of change in the species structure of an ecological community over the period of time. And the ecological succession are a constantly changing. Ecological succession is a gradual process of change in the replacement of the type of species in a community. Each new community makes it harder for previous community to survive. Now, there are types. There are two main types of ecological succession: primary succession, that creating life in an area where no life existed earlier. In the primary succession, if we take an example, the area in which community has never lived before would be a new lava or rock from a volcano that makes a new island. Begins in a place without any soil like solid of volcanoes, landslide, flooding. Start with the arrival of living things such as lichens that do not need any soil to survive. They are called as the pioneer species. See the whole photograph of pioneer species. That means uh, the number of species are growing in the particular area. The primary succession, when lichen dies, that is lichen dies, they decompose, adding small amount of organic matter to the rock to make soil. Simple plant like mosses and fern can grow on this new soil. The simple plant die, adding more organic material. The soil layer thickens and grasses and other plants begins to take over. These plant dies and they add more nutrient to the soil. Shrub and trees can survive now on the soil. Insects, small bird and mammals can now begin to move in. What was earlier only bare rock now supports a variety of life. See the photographs in which they are showing different area, region. The small plants, then there is a begins of growth, then they convert the shrubs and then trees and big trees. This is the primary succession, how the process is going on. That is, at begin there is a bare land. Because of adding some nutrient, it should grow a small plant, it converted to the shrubs, then trees and big trees. See again the photograph, that understand clearly that how it will processed from the small plants or from the bare land to the biggest tree. Now come to the point, that is secondary succession. This is a process of restabilization that follow the disturbances in an area where life has formed an ecosystem. It occurs on a surface where an ecosystem has previously existed. It is the process by which one community replaces another community, which has been partially or totally destroyed, might be by natural process such as floods, earthquake, etc. That is the natural calamity. The primary and secondary, see how it will appear in the photograph. The secondary succession, when an existing community has been cleared by any type of disturbances such as fire, cyclone, etc., and the soil remain intact, the area begin to return to its natural community because this habitat previously supported life. Secondary succession begins. The the circle of life in secondary succession. It show in the circle that climax forest, disturbances, grasses, shrubs, and small trees. That showing in the circular manner that how the process is going on. Now, why does ecological succession occur? Because it is the process of life for the plants and other living organism, because organism alter soil structure and the species communities constantly change over the period of time. Succession will continue until the environment reaches its final stage called as the climax community. Climax community means the finalized stage where the particular plant species is growing in a particular restricted area. That is called as climax community. Now the gradual changes from pioneer stage to the climax community. See the photographs. Bare rock, then there is a growth of lichens, then the small mosses, then it convert into the herb, weeds, then grasses, then shrubby plants are growing, then like this. There is a progressive growth, and then there is a final climax community where the biggest tree growing. Now, how ecological succession takes place? Succession will continue until the environment reaches its final stage. That is called as the climax community. I already mentioned. Now, the climax community is a mature, stable community. That is the final stage of ecological succession. This type of community remains the same throughout the time if it is not disturbed. The climax community, a stable group of plants and animal, which is the end result of succession process, does not always mean only victories. They could be cacti in desert or grasses in the field. These are some climax community, the photograph showing of different communities that is in the final stage. There are some physical factors that determines the nature of community that develop in the area are temperature, the amount of rainfall, then there is a threats also to succession. Grasses that moves in the pioneer species are often thought as a weed. The subsequent growth of shrubs are considered undesirable brush. Threats to succession, but without this intermediate stage, the disturbed habitat can't return the forest. Now the human effects in ecological succession, clearing the land for garden and preparing the soil for planting is a type of major external event that radically restructured and disturbed a previously stabilized ecosystem. For example, forest. In forest, what will happen? Many of the uh, agriculturists in and around of the forest, they are disturbing the forest by cutting off the trees where they can cultivate or they can develop the soil structure. They can develop their farm by disturbing the plants. That means the community of plants are disturbed. These disturbances may immediately begin a process of ecological succession. Does ecological succession ever stop? Over a long period of time, the climate condition of an ecosystem is bound to change. No ecosystem has existed or will remain unchanged over a geological time scale. This is all about the succession. And with this, I conclude my lecture and tell you all a big thank you. If you have any question, feel ask freely. Thank you very much for your patience.